Now joining me on the other side of the stage, the host of Mortgage 101 and Clinton Wilkins, of course, making this broadcast happen with some sponsorship money. My friend, welcome. Oh, let's hang on. Let's make sure we turn on your mic so that you're.
It's really the least. It's really the least I could do. Let's be honest.
Well, I'm glad that you're here because
you guys support me and my business, and help us educate consumers every single day. I just love being a part of the station.
Right. So, tell me a little bit about the genesis of Mortgage 101. Tell us how that all became to what this powerhouse that it is now.
I've been doing business with the radio station going on 10 years. This is the 10th year that I've been doing a version of Mortgage 101. We first started with Rick back in the day. We were doing 5-minute little educational tips, and it started into a full-blown show the first year that there was a live show on the weekend, and we started it with Todd. And originally we were going to start with one season. Mortgage lending, it doesn't seem that exciting. We thought we would say everything, and after one season we would be done. But a lot has changed, and housing is really at the forefront of people's minds.
So housing crisis.
And, the rates were changing, policies changing with the federal government, and, we were just there and being a part of the conversation. And I think there's actually more for us to say today than there was 10 years ago.
Right. And I think that the path to home ownership is not as cut and dried or as a straight run as it was maybe when we started doing this show.
Definitely not. And it's certainly more challenging today, Dan, than it was even 10 years ago when we're talking about the cost of housing, inflation, all these things. And, our show pivoted a couple years ago. When COVID struck, we stopped going into the studio. We're really, I will call it kind of like a subcontractor. Coming into the studio was really only Rogers employees that were going in.
Right.
And we were lucky enough to keep the messaging going. We pivoted. We started doing the show originally in our office, and we were producing it and then giving it to you guys. And we kept that messaging going. And there was just more and more and more to say. And right now, we're actually producing our show at a studio downtown. And I know you've been a part of Mortgage 101 here a couple times. And
that Podstarter studio is something else, I'll tell you. It's a local success story, much like Clinton Wilkins is a local success story.
Yeah, for sure. And we actually have one of our producers here from Podstarter, so we wanted to give Podstarters a shout-out. We have Reese. So welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
He's taking over. I'm just going to start.
I know. I want to start pressing the buttons. I always joke with Dan, next time him or Todd have a sick day, I'm going to start pressing the buttons and getting behind
I'm just going to go and eat
the hot seat.
Yeah, just take a back seat is good.
I have been inside the Podstarter studio, and I got to tell you, working in the sonic medium for all these years, it really is a fantastic local facility.
Oh, thank you so much. No, I think that one of the things we've been really lucky with in the last 5 years is to kind of really ride that wave and the growth in podcasting. And Clinton, your show is incredible because obviously it started as a radio show, but it has this whole other life as a podcast
It's taken on so many different variations as well. And I mean, Reese, we wouldn't be able to do that without the support of your company. And frankly, without the support of 95.7, we wouldn't even be here. We were able to make these into TikTok and Instagram Reels and blog posts, and, we're on Spotify and Apple Music and all these things that, really you guys have enabled.
Yeah, and
happen.
I think that's it. There's so many platforms, and people are all using all these different platforms that, the legitimacy of the radio show, and then that spilling out across all the other mediums. You've kind of really developed an audience where, in all this uncertainty, you have someone who can come on and regularly give them an update about what does that mean for me as a homeowner? What does that mean for me in my housing situation? So it's been a real privilege to be part of that for certain.
Now, I work in radio, obviously, and I was talking about this with a guest earlier that I've been for 30 years hearing that radio's dead and that it's a dying medium, yada, yada, yada. Podcasts are going to kill it. You work in the podcast industry, but I think you think the same way, that there's a way that we can work together to grow it even bigger.
I got into podcasting from radio.
Right.
Originally at the BBC, they were doing a lot of podcast radio hybrids, and I love radio as a medium. I think we can flow back and forth between both mediums. I think they complement each other. I think radio and podcasting accompanying each other is a real opportunity. When I moved to Canada, like I tuned in to this station and listened to Rick because I didn't know anyone here. I didn't know what the local culture was like, but by listening to this and hearing people call in the local debates, I kind of really got familiar with the community. That was harder to find in podcasting at the time, but there's a real consistent, solid presence that radio delivers, and podcasting is this whole other world that can kind of build off that as well. So,
Well, and there's some people that would never hear our show, Dan, to be frank,
Right.
on 95.7. Obviously, we're a part of the station. We love it. We want people to tune in. We sound good on FM, I can say that. But it enables a whole different population for us to take it from 95.7 and on to the Spotify, Apple Musics of the world, because different people consume their news different ways, and we want to be there where people get their news.
Well, Clinton, thank you very much for being a part of our team for all these years, and I hope that we continue that relationship for many years to come. Reese, I know that we're having discussions, let's say, and who knows, maybe we'll have some kind of collaboration in the future.
that would be a dream, yeah.